Welcome back to Robin Reviews. For us here is a great Funko Pop. This isn't what I'm reviewing, but this is more a placeholder. If I was to review this Funko Pop, I was a little bit disappointed in the manufacturing. I'm not going to take it out. But what I found as soon as I bought it is that his foot kept falling off. And it's a plastic piece that's put into the leg there, and no matter what I did, save for adding glue, which I haven't done, it just keeps falling out. So I'm a little bit disappointed with Funko. Not really sure why it wasn't just one piece or why there wasn't a better glue. But either way, I love this pop. If any of my viewers are watching this is the only Mighty Ducks pop I have, sadly. Not trying to fish, because, well, you guys don't know where I live anyway, but I do want to get more. But today I wanted to start a series on the Mighty Ducks, where each time I do a video, I'll talk about one of their, I was going to say movies, but there is the show as well, so I'll just say one of the Mighty Ducks offerings, I say, on Disney+. What I'm going to start doing as I do some of these videos, is I've kind of already touched on some different things, is to see what appeals to people. I know vintage does, as was with the older Transformer toy I had, so I thought I'd go vintage. But before I go vintage into the movies, I do want to talk a little bit, spoiler-free, about the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. The reason I want to go spoiler-free, even though this show has been out for over a year, is because some might have avoided it because they thought, oh, it's not going to be the same, it's going to be too cheesy. And so just for fairness, at least for now, I'm going to stick away from spoilers. To be clear, though, it's not the same as the movie. It's extremely cheesy, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Actually, I don't think either of those things are a bad thing. I remember for years people were clamoring for them to do some kind of reboot, but have the kids older and in some competition now. But I actually love what they did in season 1. It's similar kind of story with, and this isn't spoiler territory, but it's a similar kind of story with a ragtag kids who either do or don't play hockey and getting them together. I think Emilio Estevez is fantastic. I don't want to give away how he gets there to be coaching this other team or involved with this other team, but really like what they did with the character. There are, I believe, 7 different cameos throughout the first series, including Emilio. I won't say who the others are or how they come up, but a really solid job with the cameos, with the storyline, with the hockey. I thought it was a very sweet storyline, but still funny. Some of the new characters they bring in, and one of my favorites is Nick. That's all I'm going to say about Nick, but he's one of my favorites, just his demeanor, his personality. But I like the how they spread out the personalities, similar to how they did in the movie. I like how the storyline is built. I really liked, everything about it. The one thing that I didn't love, and again, I can't go into too much detail here, but if you've watched it and you want to leave comments, you want to message me about these, I found it to be a little predictable, and a little bit storyline-wise too similar to the first movie. And it's hard to fault them because I think they wanted to capture the magic of the first movie and the 3 movies, but I just feel it was a little too predictable. And so that can be a bit of a drawback, but overall it was a solid offering. I was also disappointed in, I careful I word this, the lack of one cameo, and that's all I'm going to say. Everyone, I think, actually many people I talk to have different favorite Ducks. My friend Joel and I, a couple weeks ago, were talking about who we'd put on jerseys and what we do with them, and I think everyone has favorite Ducks, and so I don't think I'm being too spoilery when I say, for me, there was one noticeable cameo missing. There are still, I believe, 2 episodes left in season 2, with episode 7 of 10 being released this morning, and there still is time, but in terms of season 1, that's one of the other drawbacks. Now, to be honest with you, and I hate to say this, I have not enjoyed season 2 nearly as much. This isn't really spoilers. I won't say why or what to do with the storyline, but Emilio is not in season 2. There were rumors that had something to do with COVID, but he came out with a statement of his own saying he used both contract dispute and creative differences. And so the story writers go a certain direction, and I get why they went in the direction they did, because they needed to come up with a viable storyline where it could continue without Emilio, without Coach Bombay, without us having everyone every week asking, oh, where is he? Why is he not there? But I just feel like doing it without him, even though it's about the kids, hasn't worked as as well as they would have liked. I do applaud them, though, on the other hand, for not just regurgitating the same story of taking it to, oh, okay, they're going to go to the Olympics now, or they're going to do this now. Like, I like that it's slightly different. I think that the cast they brought in are doing great. I just think the storyline is lacking, and one of the biggest things, and I'm going to say even further away from spoilers here, I won't even mention the episode I'm talking about, but at one point they heavily hint of a cameo, not who, but a hint of a cliffhanger on an episode, like where makes you think, oh my goodness, someone is coming. Is it A, B, C? Like, you start running through a list. Is it one of the ones from the first season? Is it someone I had hoped missed? And then there are cameos, but it just comes completely out of left field. That is not what I would have thought. And I just think it's trying to separate it too much now without the cameos. I mean, I know for Emilio, it's not about not wanting to do a cameo. It's contract or creative. But other than a very brief cameo, 2 cameos, the second of which in the first episode I love. So again, that's first episode, second cameo. I had a good laugh once I realized who it was, because some of these kids, when they get older, I mean, some of them you can tell pretty easily who it is. They look pretty much the same. But the second cameo in the first episode just caught me by surprise. I actually had to look up to make sure that that's the same person, because again, they'd aged and they look entirely different, but it was. But other than that, I found it really hurting from that, not finding ways. And to be honest, it would have been very easy in the second season to find ways to do cameos. And when I say very easy, even easier than the first season, just because of the location and everything that's going on, and some of the people they interact with, the places they go. It would have been extremely easy to do more cameos, or at least do the same ones again. And so I'd give the first season of Mighty Ducks Game Changers, I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. What I think it was lacking or too predictable is not enough to go against it. But I think I'd barely give this season even a 5 out of 10. There's just some things that are stretches, storylines that go nowhere, silly storylines. And I know that silly storylines are part of what makes up the Mighty Ducks. But I think here it's just really draws it back. And I hate to say that. I'm really hoping the last 2 episodes pull it up, and maybe when I get to doing a video on one of the other Mighty Ducks movies, I'll mention if my score of 5 has changed at all, but that's where it sits right now. One of the amazing things, and I'm not gonna, this isn't spoilers or anything, it's just talking about some of the actors. And when I talk about the actors growing up, I mean, I loved Netflix's Daredevil, and I loved I'm just going to say, I can't remember his name in the show, but anyway, Fulton Reed's character in Daredevil, I loved it, but I can't even, without being embarrassed, admit to you how long into Daredevil it took me before I realized that was Fulton Reed. And I grew up with Mighty Ducks, and so I'll often refer to them by their name. I mean, even when I was watching Fringe, I kept saying, oh, Charlie, like, that's not him, that's Joshua Jackson, but Fulton Reed, it took me so long because in the movies, he's, especially the first one, he's really billed at being this way bigger than them, tough, older goon. And I think he was tall for his age, but the camera work certainly helps. Whereas then, you get to Daredevil, and you really see the noticeable difference. And so that's just interesting. A little side note there. But anyway, I hope you like this video. I will be rewatching the Mighty Ducks movies at some point before I review them, because I have fond memories. But every time I watch them, I come up with something else I don't really love. So I'm going to be honest about them. They are treasured memories for me growing up, but I will be honest when I review them, because they're some of the best sports movies, I think, and they're great for all ages, and they don't they don't really lose their touch no matter how long you get along. And I personally think that Coach Bombay would probably be on my Mount Rushmore for greatest movie coaches. I'm also very biased, and I put Coach Irv Blitzer right up there from Cool Runnings. And it helps that they're some of my favorites, but it'd be interesting someday to think of other sports movies and think who would be on Mount Rushmore. Of course, I think of movies like Remember the Titans, We Are Marshall, and Radio, and so those are football. But you got to look at those coaches, and I think Coach Bombay, though not at the beginning and certainly not at every single aspect of all three movies or the show, but at the core, what he gets back to, who he is definitely up there. So I hope you liked the video, and thanks again for watching.